I stare at the laptop screen, my heart pounding in my chest. The dating profile picture is unmistakably Ethan, my husband of 10 years. I click through the photos, each one a gut-wrenching confirmation of his betrayal. But it's the final image that shatters my world. Ethan, locked in a passionate embrace with a woman I know all too well. My sister, Ivy. Tears blur my vision as I confront Ethan that evening. How could you do this to me, with my own sister? My voice trembles with a mixture of anger and despair. Ethan's face pales. Zara, I'm sorry. It just happened. We didn't mean to hurt you. Didn't mean to hurt me? I scoff. You've been sneaking around behind my back, sleeping with Ivy, and you didn't think it would hurt me? Please, can we just talk about this calmly? Ethan pleads, reaching for my hand. I yank my hand away, recoiling from his touch. There's nothing to talk about. I want you out of my house. Now. Ethan opens his mouth to protest, but thinks better of it. He grabs a few essentials and walks out the door, leaving me alone in the home we once shared. With nowhere else to turn, I drive to my mother Nora's house. She opens the door, her warm smile quickly fading as she takes in my tear-stained face. Zara, what's wrong? I collapse into her arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Ethan, he's been cheating on me, with Ivy. Nora stiffens, her embrace tightening around me. Oh, my sweet girl, I'm so sorry. She leads me inside and we sit on the couch. I pour out the whole story, the words tumbling out between gasps and sniffles. Nora listens patiently, her brow furrowed with concern. I just don't understand why Ivy would do this, I say, my voice raw with emotion. She's my sister. How could she betray me like this? Nora sighs deeply. Zara, there's something you need to know about Ivy. She takes my hand, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and resignation. Ivy has been manipulating me, trying to gain access to the family's wealth. I didn't want to believe it at first, but now, with what she's done to you, I stare at my mother, shocked by this revelation. What do you mean, manipulating you? She's been dropping hints, trying to convince me to change my will in her favor. I think she sees me as an easy target, a grieving widow who can be swayed by a little attention and affection. Anger surges through me, white-hot and all-consuming. That conniving little... I clench my fists, my nails digging into my palms. We can't let her get away with this, Mom. We have to do something. Nora nods, a steely glint in her eyes. We'll gather evidence of the affair and Ivy's scheming. It'll help you secure a better divorce settlement and ensure that Ivy doesn't get a penny of the family inheritance. I take a deep breath, my resolve hardening. You're right, it's time to fight back. As I sit there on my mother's couch, the weight of my shattered marriage and my sister's betrayal pressing down on me, I know that the road ahead will be long and painful. But with my mother by my side, I'm ready to face whatever comes my way. The next morning, I wake up in my old childhood bedroom, feeling disoriented and exhausted. The events of the previous night come rushing back, and I feel a fresh wave of anger and betrayal wash over me. I make my way downstairs to find my mother already in the kitchen, brewing a pot of coffee. Morning, Mom, I say, my voice still thick with sleep. Nora turns to me, her eyes full of concern. How are you holding up, sweetheart? I shrug, slumping into a chair at the kitchen table. I don't know. I still can't believe this is happening. Nora pours 2 cups of coffee and joins me at the table. I know it's hard, but we need to start gathering evidence. The more proof we have of Ethan and Ivy's affair and her scheming, the better our chances of protecting you and the family. I nod, taking a sip of the hot coffee. Where do we start? I think it's best if we hire a private investigator, someone who can discreetly gather the information we need. Can we afford that? I ask, suddenly worried about the financial implications of my impending divorce. Nora reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. Don't worry about the money. I have some savings set aside, and this is more important. We need to make sure you're protected. I feel a surge of gratitude for my mother's unwavering support. Thanks, Mom. I don't know what I'd do without you. You're my daughter, Zara. I'll always be here for you. Nora smiles. But there's a hint of sadness in her eyes. In the meantime, I think it's best if we keep up appearances with Ivy. Let her think her manipulation is working. It'll give us time to gather the evidence we need. I nod, a knot forming in my stomach at the thought of pretending everything is normal around Ivy. I don't know if I can do that, Mom. Just the thought of seeing her makes me sick. I know it's not easy, but it's necessary. We can't let her suspect anything until we have proof. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for the difficult road ahead. Okay, I'll do my best. Later that day, I meet with the private investigator my mother hired. His name is Jack, and he has a no-nonsense demeanor that immediately puts me at ease. Mrs. Callahan, I understand you suspect your husband of infidelity? Jack asks, his pen poised over a notepad. I nod, swallowing the lump in my throat. Yes, with my sister, I found a dating profile with pictures of them together. I see. Jack makes a note on his pad. And you want proof of the affair? Yes, anything that can help me in the divorce proceedings. Hotel receipts, photos, whatever you can find. Jack nods, his expression serious. I'll get started right away. I'll be discreet, but I'll need you to provide any information that might be relevant. Schedules, routines, anything that might help me catch them in the act. I agree, feeling a mix of relief and trepidation. As I leave Jack's office, I can't shake the feeling that I'm about to embark on a journey that will change my life forever. That evening, Ivy comes over for dinner, acting as if nothing has changed. She smiles and laughs, complimenting Nora on her cooking and discussing her latest shopping spree. I sit silently, picking at my food, my stomach churning with disgust. Zara, are you okay? Ivy asks, her voice dripping with false concern. You seem quiet tonight. I force a smile, remembering my mother's advice. I'm fine, just a little tired. Work has been hectic lately. Ivy nods, her eyes narrowing slightly. Well, make sure you're taking care of yourself. We wouldn't want you to burn out. I clench my jaw, biting back the angry retort that threatens to spill out. If only she knew the real reason for my exhaustion, the sleepless nights spent crying over her betrayal. As the evening wears on, I watch Ivy closely, noting the subtle ways she tries to manipulate Nora. A compliment here, a gentle touch there, all designed to ingratiate herself and gain favor. It makes my skin crawl, but I force myself to remain calm, knowing that our plan is in motion. After Ivy leaves, I turn to Nora, my eyes burning with unshed tears. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, Mom. Seeing her act like everything is normal, it's killing me. Nora pulls me into a tight hug, stroking my hair. I know, sweetheart, but we're going to get through this. We're going to make sure Ivy and Ethan pay for what they've done. I cling to my mother, drawing strength from her unwavering support. Together, we'll weather this storm and come out stronger on the other side. A week passes, and I find myself constantly checking my phone, waiting for updates from Jack, the private investigator. The anticipation is eating away at me, making it hard to focus on anything else. I'm at work, trying to concentrate on a marketing report, when my phone finally buzzes with a message from Jack. Meet me at my office. I have something to show you. My heart races as I make an excuse to leave work early. I arrive at Jack's office, my palms sweaty and my mouth dry. He greets me with a nod and gestures for me to sit down. I've been following your husband and sister for the past week, Jack says, opening a folder on his desk, and I've managed to gather some compelling evidence. He slides a stack of photos across the desk, and I feel my stomach lurch as I flip through them. There's Ethan and Ivy, holding hands as they enter a hotel. Another shot shows them kissing passionately in the hotel lobby. The final picture is the most damning. Ethan and Ivy, half naked, caught in a compromising position through the window of their hotel room. I feel bile rising in my throat, and I have to look away. This is more than enough, I manage to choke out. Jack nods, handing me a USB drive. I've also compiled a list of dates and times they've met, along with copies of hotel receipts and other evidence. It's all on here. I take the drive with shaking hands, a sense of grim satisfaction washing over me. Thank you, Jack. This is exactly what I needed. Armed with the evidence, I confront Ethan and Ivy that evening. I ask Ethan to come over to discuss the divorce settlement, and I make sure Ivy is there too. They sit on the couch, exchanging nervous glances as I stand before them, my arms crossed. I know everything, I say, my voice cold and steady. I have proof of your affair. Ethan's face pales and Ivy's eyes widen in shock. Zara, we can explain, Ethan stammers. Explain what? I snap, tossing the photos onto the coffee table. How you've been sneaking around behind my back. How you've been betraying me with my own sister. Ivy reaches for the photos with trembling hands, her face ashen as she flips through them. Zara, please, it's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like. I shout, my composure slipping. You two have been carrying on an affair, and you didn't even have the decency to be discreet about it. Ethan stands up, his hands held out in a placating gesture. Zara, let's just calm down and talk about this rationally. Rationally? I laugh, a harsh, bitter sound. There's nothing rational about what you've done. You've destroyed our marriage, our family, and for what? A cheap fling with my sister? Ivy starts to cry, her shoulders shaking. It wasn't a fling, Zara. We love each other. I feel like I've been slapped. Love? You call this love? You've been lying and scheming, manipulating our mother for her money. That's not love, Ivy. That's greed and selfishness. Ethan runs a hand through his hair, his expression desperate. What do you want, Zara? What can we do to make this right? I take a deep breath, steeling myself. I want a divorce, Ethan. A quick and quiet one. And I want a fair settlement. If you agree to my terms, I won't expose your affair to everyone we know. Ivy's head snaps up, her eyes red-rimmed. You're blackmailing us? Call it what you want, I say, my voice like ice. But I hold all the cards here. Either you agree to my demands, or I'll make sure everyone knows the truth about your sordid little affair. Ethan and Ivy exchange a long, desperate look. Finally, Ethan nods, his shoulders slumping in defeat. Fine, we'll do it your way. I feel a surge of triumph, mixed with a bitter sense of loss. I've won, but at what cost? My marriage, my relationship with my sister, all of it lies in ruins. As I walk away, leaving Ethan and Ivy to wallow in their shame, I can't help but wonder if the price of revenge is worth the pain it brings. In the days following the confrontation, Ethan and I begin the process of divorcing. It's a painful, drawn-out affair, with endless meetings with lawyers and heated arguments over the division of assets. Through it all, I cling to the evidence Jack provided, using it as leverage to ensure I get what I deserve. Ethan tries to play the victim, claiming that he never meant to hurt me and that his affair with Ivy was a mistake. But I see through his lies, and I refuse to let him manipulate me any longer. You made your choice, Ethan, I tell him coldly during one particularly tense negotiation. You chose Ivy over me, over our marriage. Now you have to live with the consequences. Ethan's face twists with anger and frustration. You're being unreasonable, Zara. We can work this out, find a compromise. I laugh, a harsh, bitter sound. Compromise? Like the way you compromised our vows? No, Ethan. I'm done compromising. I want what's rightfully mine, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. As the divorce proceedings drag on, I find myself leaning more and more on my mother for support. Nora is a rock, always there with a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on. She helps me navigate the legal complexities of the divorce, and she keeps up the pretense of being oblivious to Ivy's scheming. One evening, as we sit together in her living room, Nora takes my hand and looks at me with a serious expression. Zara, there's something I need to tell you. I feel a flicker of unease at her tone. What is it, Mom? Nora takes a deep breath, her eyes filling with tears. I went to see my lawyer today. I've decided to change my will. I blink, surprised. Change your will? Why? Because I can't stand the thought of Ivy getting her hands on the family money, Nora says, her voice trembling with emotion. Not after what she's done to you, to our family. I'm leaving everything to you, Zara. The house, the investments, all of it. I feel a rush of gratitude and love for my mother. Mom, I don't know what to say. Thank you. Nora squeezes my hand, a fierce determination in her eyes. I won't let Ivy destroy this family any more than she already has. We'll make sure she gets what she deserves. The divorce is finalized a few weeks later, and I walk away with a substantial settlement. Ethan and Ivy are furious, but they have no choice but to accept the terms. I feel a sense of grim satisfaction, knowing that I've won, that I've protected myself and my future. But even as I celebrate my victory, I can't shake the feeling of unease that grows with each passing day. Ivy becomes more and more erratic, her behavior growing increasingly volatile. She shows up at my office, screaming and crying, demanding that I give her what she's owed. You can't do this to me, Zara, she shrieks, her face contorted with rage. I'm your sister. I deserve a share of the money, of the inheritance. I stand my ground, my voice calm and cold. You deserve nothing, Ivy. You made your bed. Now lie in it. Ivy's eyes flash with a dangerous light, and for a moment, I'm afraid she might actually attack me. But then she turns on her heel and storms out, slamming the door behind her. I sink into my chair, my heart racing. I know that this isn't over, that Ivy won't stop until she gets what she wants. But I also know that I have the truth on my side, and I won't rest until justice is served. As I sit there, staring at the closed door, I can't help but wonder how things got so twisted, so broken. How did my own sister become my worst enemy? And how far will she go to get what she wants? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, I won't back down, no matter what it takes. The dust settles after the divorce, but the tension between Ivy and me remains thick and suffocating. She continues to harass me, leaving angry voicemails and sending threatening texts, demanding a share of the inheritance she believes is rightfully hers. I do my best to ignore her, focusing on rebuilding my life and moving forward. But Ivy is relentless, and I know it's only a matter of time before she tries something drastic. One evening, as I'm leaving work, I find Ivy waiting for me in the parking lot. She's leaning against my car, her arms crossed and a smirk on her face. "Hello, dear sister," she says, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "I think it's time we had a little chat." I feel a flicker of fear, but I refuse to let it show. "I have nothing to say to you, Ivy. Leave me alone." Ivy pushes off the car and steps closer, her eyes narrowing. "Oh, but I have plenty to say to you, starting with how you've ruined my life." I scoff, shaking my head. "I ruined your life? You're the one who slept with my husband, who tried to manipulate our mother for her money. You brought this on yourself, Ivy." Ivy's face twists with rage and she jabs a finger at me. "You had everything, Zara. The perfect marriage, the successful career, the inheritance, and you couldn't stand the thought of sharing any of it with me. Because you didn't deserve it," I shout, my composure slipping. "You're a liar and a cheat, Ivy. You don't deserve a cent of our mother's money." Ivy laughs, a harsh, bitter sound. "And you do? You think you're so much better than me, don't you? Well, guess what, sister dear? I'm not going down without a fight." She reaches into her purse and pulls out a stack of papers, thrusting them at me. "I've hired a lawyer, Zara. I'm contesting the will. I'll drag this out in court for as long as it takes until I get what's mine." I feel a surge of anger and disbelief. "You can't be serious. You have no grounds to contest the will, Ivy. Mom made her decision, and it's final." Ivy's smile is cold and calculating. "We'll see about that. I have my ways, Zara, and I won't stop until I've destroyed you, just like you destroyed me." With that, she turns and walks away, leaving me standing there in the parking lot, my heart racing and my mind reeling. I call Nora as soon as I get home, my hands shaking as I dial her number. She answers on the first ring, her voice filled with concern. "Zara? What's wrong?" I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "It's Ivy? She cornered me in the parking lot at work. She's hired a lawyer, Mom. She's going to contest the will." There's a long pause on the other end of the line. When Nora speaks again, her voice is filled with a quiet fury. "She won't get away with this, Zara. We'll fight her every step of the way. I'll call my lawyer first thing in the morning." I feel a rush of gratitude for my mother's unwavering support. "Thank you, Mom. I don't know what I'd do without you. We're in this together, sweetheart, always." As I hang up the phone, I feel a sense of determination settle over me. Ivy may think she has the upper hand, but she's underestimated the strength of the bond between my mother and me. We'll fight her in court, we'll expose her lies and her greed, and we'll make sure she never sees a penny of our family's money. It won't be easy, but I know that with Nora by my side, I can face anything, even the betrayal of my own sister. The divorce is finalized, and I walk away with a significant portion of the assets Ethan and I once shared. It's a bittersweet victory, tinged with the pain of betrayal and the loss of a once-happy marriage. Ivy is furious when she learns of the settlement, her face turning an ugly shade of red as she confronts me at Nora's house. "You think you've won, don't you?" she sneers, her eyes filled with a malicious gleam. "You think you can just take everything and leave me with nothing?" I meet her gaze evenly, refusing to be cowed by her anger. "I'm taking what's rightfully mine, Ivy. What I've earned. You, on the other hand, deserve nothing." Ivy laughs, a harsh, grating sound. "Oh, but that's where you're wrong, dear sister. I deserve everything, and I'm going to get it one way or another." She turns to Nora, her expression shifting to one of false sweetness. Speaking of which, Mother, I think it's time we had a talk about your will. Nora stiffens, her eyes narrowing. My will is none of your concern, Ivy. But it is, Ivy insists, her voice taking on a wheedling tone. I'm your daughter, too. I deserve a fair share of the family inheritance. I can't help but scoff at her audacity. Fair share? You've done nothing but lie and scheme and manipulate. You don't deserve a cent of Mom's money. Ivy's face twists with rage, and she takes a step towards me, her fists clenched. You've always been the favorite, haven't you, Zara? The perfect daughter, the one who could do no wrong. Well, guess what? I'm done living in your shadow. Nora steps between us, her voice firm and unyielding. Enough, Ivy. I won't have you speaking to your sister that way. And as for my will, I've already made my decision. Ivy's eyes widen, a flicker of fear passing over her face. What decision? Nora takes a deep breath, her gaze steady. I've changed my will, Ivy. I'm leaving everything to Zara, the house, the investments, all of it. Ivy staggers back as if she's been slapped, her mouth falling open in shock. You can't do that. You can't just cut me out like that. I can, and I have, Nora says, her voice filled with a quiet determination. I've seen your true colors, Ivy, the lies, the manipulation, the cruelty. I won't reward that behavior with my money. Ivy's shock turns to fury, and she lashes out, her voice rising to a shrill scream. You'll regret this, both of you. I'll contest the will. I'll drag this out in court for years if I have to. I won't rest until I get what's mine. Nora shakes her head, a sad smile on her face. You can try, Ivy, but you won't win. I've made sure of that. With a final, inarticulate shriek of rage, Ivy storms out of the house, slamming the door behind her. I turn to Nora, my heart filled with a mixture of gratitude and sorrow. Mom, I don't know what to say. Thank you. Nora pulls me into a tight hug, her voice thick with emotion. I'm so proud of you, Zara. You've been through so much, and you've handled it with such grace and strength. I cling to her, tears stinging my eyes. I couldn't have done it without you, Mom. You've been my rock through all of this. As we stand there, holding each other in the quiet of the living room, I feel a sense of peace wash over me. I know that the road ahead won't be easy, that Ivy will stop at nothing to get what she wants. But I also know that I have the truth on my side, and the unwavering love and support of my mother. Together, we'll weather whatever storms come our way, and we'll emerge stronger for it. Ivy may think she's won, but she has no idea what she's up against. The bond between a mother and daughter is a force to be reckoned with, and we won't back down, no matter what. Weeks pass, and the tension between Ivy and our family reaches a boiling point. She continues to harass Nora, demanding a meeting to discuss the will. Finally, Nora relents, agreeing to sit down with Ivy one last time. I insist on being there, unwilling to leave my mother alone with Ivy's manipulations. We gather in Nora's living room, the air thick with animosity. Ivy wastes no time in launching into her tirade. I know what you've done, Mother. Cutting me out of the will, leaving everything to Zara. It's not right. Nora sits calmly, her hands folded in her lap. I've done what I believe is right, Ivy. Zara has been there for me, supporting me through the loss of your father, through everything. You, on the other hand, have been nothing but a source of pain and heartache. Ivy's face twists with rage, and she leans forward, her voice low and threatening. You'll regret this, Mother. I'll make sure of it. I can't hold back any longer, my anger boiling over. Enough, Ivy. You've done nothing but lie and scheme and manipulate. You don't deserve a cent of Mom's money, and you know it. Ivy turns to me, her eyes flashing with malice. You think you're so perfect, don't you, Zara? The golden child, the one who can do no wrong. Well, guess what? I'm done living in your shadow. I'll destroy you, just like you destroyed my chance at happiness with Ethan. Nora stands abruptly, her voice shaking with fury. Get out, Ivy. Get out of my house and don't come back. I won't stand for your threats and your cruelty any longer. Ivy stands as well, her face contorted with rage. This isn't over. I'll see you in court, Mother. I'll drag this out for as long as it takes, until I get what's rightfully mine. With that, she storms out, slamming the door behind her. Nora sinks back into her chair, her face pale and drawn. I rush to her side, taking her hand in mine. Mom, are you okay? She nods, taking a deep breath. I'll be fine, Zara, but there's something I need to show you. She reaches into a drawer and pulls out a thick folder, handing it to me with trembling hands. I open it, my eyes widening as I take in the contents. It's filled with documents, bank statements, and emails, all pointing to Ivy's long history of manipulation and deceit. "I've been gathering this for months," Nora says quietly. "Ever since I first suspected Ivy was trying to manipulate me, I wanted to be sure before I made any decisions about the will." I flip through the pages, my heart sinking with each new revelation. Ivy's lies and schemes are laid bare, a damning indictment of her character. "Mom, this is incredible. With this evidence, Ivy won't have a leg to stand on in court." Nora nods, a sad smile on her face. "I know, but it breaks my heart to think that it's come to this. My own daughter so consumed by greed and selfishness." I pull her into a hug, my own eyes filling with tears. "You did the right thing, Mom. Ivy made her choices, and now she has to face the consequences." We sit there for a long time, holding each other as the weight of the situation sinks in. I know that the road ahead won't be easy, that Ivy will stop at nothing to get what she wants. But I also know that we have the truth on our side, and the unbreakable bond of a mother and daughter's love. Together, we'll face whatever comes our way, and we'll emerge stronger for it. Ivy may think she can tear our family apart, but she underestimates the power of our love and our determination. We won't back down no matter what, and in the end, the truth will prevail and justice will be served. The morning of the court hearing arrives, and I feel a sense of dread settle in the pit of my stomach. I know that today will be the final showdown between Ivy and our family, the culmination of months of tension and animosity. As I dress in a somber black suit, I can't help but think of Nora and the toll this whole ordeal has taken on her. She's been so strong, so resolute in the face of Ivy's cruelty, but I know it's been a heavy burden to bear. I arrive at the courthouse to find Nora already there, looking pale and drawn. She manages a weak smile as I approach, reaching out to take my hand. "How are you holding up, Mom?" I ask gently. She takes a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "I'm ready to face this, Zara. I won't let Ivy's lies and manipulation win out over the truth." We take our seats in the courtroom, watching as Ivy and her lawyer enter. Ivy looks smug, confident, as if she's already won. The judge calls the hearing to order, and Ivy's lawyer begins his arguments, painting a picture of a loving daughter cruelly cut out of her rightful inheritance. But then it's our turn, and our lawyer presents the evidence Nora has gathered. The bank statements, the emails, the recordings of Ivy's threats and lies. With each new piece of evidence, Ivy's facade crumbles, her true nature laid bare for all to see. The judge listens intently, his brow furrowed as he takes in the damning testimony. Finally, he renders his verdict. In light of the overwhelming evidence presented today, I have no choice but to uphold the validity of Nora Callahan's will. The estate shall be distributed in accordance with her wishes, with the entirety of her assets going to her daughter, Zara Callahan. Ivy leaps to her feet, her face contorted with rage. "This is outrageous. You can't do this to me." The judge bangs his gavel, his voice stern. "Miss Callahan, you will control yourself in my courtroom. The decision is final." Ivy whirls to face Nora and me, her eyes blazing with hatred. "You think you've won, don't you? You think you can just cast me aside like garbage? Well, you're wrong. I'll make you pay for this, both of you." Nora stands, her voice calm but firm. "Enough, Ivy. It's over. You've lost, and you have no one to blame but yourself." Ivy opens her mouth to retort, but the bailiff steps forward, escorting her out of the courtroom. As the doors swing shut behind her, I feel a sense of relief wash over me. It's over. We've won. Nora turns to me, tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Zara, for standing by me through all of this. I couldn't have done it without you." I pull her into a tight hug, my own eyes filling with tears. "We did it together, Mom, you and me against the world." As we leave the courthouse, I can't help but feel a sense of sadness mingled with the relief. Sadness for the family that's been torn apart, for the sister I've lost. But I also feel a sense of hope. Hope for a future free from Ivy's toxicity. Hope for a chance to rebuild and heal. In the end, the truth prevailed, and justice was served. And though the road ahead may be difficult, I know that Nora and I will face it together, united in our love and our strength. Ivy may have thought she could destroy us, but she underestimated the power of a mother's love and the unbreakable bond between sisters. We've emerged from this ordeal stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever, and whatever the future holds, we'll face it head on, secure in the knowledge that we have each other now and always.